was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known. I was sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed just for being born. I was just...
Hello, hello, hello. And thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. It's to remind you and me that we are not the people that give the discomfort. We are the people that give the comfort. So thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. I am Claudrine Jackson, your host for A Spoonful of Comfort. And thank you that if you don't give comfort, that at least you don't give discomfort. I am the director of the Purvis Jackson Jr. Autism Foundation, which is a foundation that helps lower-income children with handicaps. And that's what fuels me to continue talking and continue speaking. And I want to thank all of you who have donated to the Purvis Foundation. Some people have donated through the Network for Good, through Facebook, and some people have donated through the post office box. P.O. Box 04422, Detroit, Michigan 48204. So thank you so much. I could not help children with handicaps without people such as you helping me. So all of you helpers out there, thank you very much. And the mission of the Purvis Foundation is that which we do for the least of our brethren, you do it also unto me. And you know, that's Matthew 25:40. And handicapped people are the least of our brethren, especially lower income handicapped people. So I want to thank those of you that help. I have a very special guest on the show today. He is a return guest, the author of a wonderful book called God's Child. And we want to cover some of the things that we didn't cover last time he was on the show. And he's going to explain some of us. He has some very interesting ideas and thoughts about our origins, and he's going to explain some of them to you. So I want to introduce to you again Mr. Terrence Lake, the author of God's Child.
And thank you for having me. And first, I'd like to thank God for creating the universe and giving us earth to perform on. And what I'd like to do this time is start out with a song.
Okay.
A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like the river, I've been a-running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. Dun, 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 dun. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Whoa, there have been times when I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I know I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful song. You've got Sam Cooke smiling down at you. Thank you so much. And it's such a powerful message in that
Yes.
song, which I know that's why you chose it.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about God's Child. Now, you wrote God's Child at the same year that my son was born, and I was trying to adjust to him, and my adjustment to him was he is God's child.
Absolutely.
So, according to your book, we are all God's child.
That's right.
So, would you explain the cover and how you came up with the title?
Okay, the title of the book, God's Child, like I said before on our first interview, that was a title that God gave to me. I was looking for a title for my book, and I needed something to captivate people's attention because I felt that I was nobody, just average Joe. And God told me, you're God's child. So that's how the title got started. And then with the cover, it goes with the title. We're all here on Earth. And, Earth is a small planet in the universe. And we revolve around the sun, 365 days a year. There's Venus here. Venus goes around the sun 200-something days a year. We have the moon here. We have Saturn. And we also have Mars. Now, these planets I've been studying with my naked eye. These planets that I've been studying with my naked eye. And it's something visual that people can see, because a lot of times when you talk about Mars and Venus and Jupiter, when I was young, I thought they were in another dimension. And then when I first seen it with my naked eye, it was amazing. So I could really relate to it. And that's why I put this on the cover, so I could open people's minds up to let them see, where we're at. Because there's two things that you should know. You should know who you are and where you're at. And we are God's children. That title, God's Child, is everybody's title. And we're in the universe. We're in the center of the universe. Each and every one of us is in the center of the universe. But we have to learn how to live in harmony with each other. Because the universe is infinite, beyond your imagination. So if I'm in the center, you're in the center, I should be able to be in harmony with you. The planets are in harmony with each other. They don't clash, except for when something happens to a planet and it explodes, and then all of a sudden you got debris that do travel around through the universe. It's like 2 years ago in December, there was not a comet, but a meteor that came north of Detroit and had exploded before it hit the ground. And that was a warning, like, these things has happened, it can happen, and it will happen. But we as God's children have to come together so that we can sort of divert these things to continue life on planet Earth, because if we don't, they can take us out.
You are such a deep thinker, and you wrote the book many years ago. And have your thoughts, anything changed since you wrote the book?
Well, just gotten more compassion for trying to turn the book into a motion picture,
Okay.
so that people can see the actual effects. Because a lot of times when you say my mission is to help create a heaven on earth. And when you out there telling people this, you're crazy, that'll never happen. They don't believe. Well, I'm a positive person, and I've always been, but my positivity became more tuned in when I took this Dale Carnegie course, Positive Mental Attitude, and that helped me to deal with negative people.
Right.
Because negative people will always try to bring you down and tell you what you can't do. But positive people tell you what you can do and what you should try to do. Because when I was coming up, my mother told me two things. Being the oldest child, she said, do the best you can and tell the truth. And those two statements have been with me all my life. And I try to do the best that I can, and some people say, well, you think you're perfect. No, I don't think I'm perfect. I just try to do the best that I can. Some things turn out to be better than the rest, but some things are normal, mediocre, and some things I just stay away from because I like to stay in my lane, if that's what you want to call it.
Well, you started out in your book. It tells a lot of experiences that you had in school and in work, and they're typical experiences that most young black people in Detroit have. I'm interested in how you came about from having the same typical experiences to being the deep thinker that you turned out to be.
Well, I've just always had compassion and love for my fellow man. Growing up in Hamtramck, you had all the races there, and we got along so well. When I was really young, I thought that was heaven on earth, because everything was just so beautiful. I mean, we really didn't have a lot, but we had each other. So that gave me that compassion. And then when I grew older and I started seeing differences where, I was excluded from some places to go like, whites only or something, and that caused me to think and want to think, why, And I never could really figure out till I really got older, and I knew it was because they basically didn't want you to be a part of that clan, and diversity is where it's at, because anything that you're involved as diverse, it seems to grow and aspire, and, it elevates quicker, whereas you just one-minded thinking one way, you don't have as much momentum. It's like when sports, I was young, you didn't have a lot of blacks in certain sports. But when they started getting in, they started bringing a little class to it, with basketball behind your back, through your legs and all that. That's diversity, and which is a good thing, because the song, "A Change Is Gonna Come." We are changing. We're going from bad to good, and it's just getting better. You got more rich people than you ever had, and there are a lot of them that are black. So that's good.
So, back to your youth, when you got into some different troublesome situations, do you think that helped you to grow? Getting in trouble, and according to most of it, what you say in the book, you didn't cause the trouble.
No.
The trouble just found you.
And, you have to protect yourself. So if somebody wanted to fight, then okay, I would fight. If somebody talked about my mother, I would fight. But my mother told me, don't fight over somebody calling me a name. They don't know anything about me. But back in the day, if you talked about someone's mother, then that was fighting, But I never really started any fights. If somebody wanted to, then it was on, and that's with most teenagers, They don't really go out and become bullies, but there are some bullies. But most kids don't want to create trouble.
And that's interesting. When I was a teacher and I would try to teach my students about walking away from a fight, their reply always was, "Oh, Miss Jackson, you can't walk away from a fight. Then they'll think you're weak. They'll think you're weak." So I don't know what the balance is between getting into the fight or walking away from the fight. But I was not a young black man, so I didn't have to really deal with it. But as a teacher, trying to keep my students who were growing up to be young black men, trying to keep them from fighting and getting in trouble, they did not see my way of thinking that, but Miss Jackson, you can't walk away from a fight because then you're weak. But they did end up writing a poem about "Don't be a fighting fool." So they did, some of what I was saying did reach them.
Okay.
Now, at the back of your book, in his book, he shares a lot of his family experiences, also his work experiences. And you see that he has a great appreciation for family and for the beauty of nature.
Yes.
And I really appreciated hearing that. So can you share some of your meditative prose that's in the back of your book? Is there something back there that you'd like to share with us before we start running out of time?
Okay. Well, the first meditative prose, I call it Earthbound, and it goes, I know that when my mind first came here, I thought I was an angel, and I came to rest, and I rest so long I fell asleep, but now I know it's time to wake up. Well, the interpretation of this is when man first came to planet Earth, we must have been some type of angelical form to come from somewhere to be put on Earth. And we sort of got complacent, we relaxed, and it's like we went into a dream, and the dream turned into a nightmare because we're fighting each other and we're having wars, and we've been to 2 world wars. And I said that we have to wake up from this dream, this nightmare of killing each other, because we're all God's children, and we have to move on. And that's why I say I know it's time to wake up, because we have to wake up in order to fulfill our real mission of being here on earth to create a heavenly environment. It's up to us to do it. God isn't going to do it. God's children have got to do it. We have the manpower, we have the technology, we just don't have the leadership, and that's what we need. Our President Barack Obama, he tried it, but his hands were tied. Everything that he tried to do, people knocked him, even people in his own party, put him down. But now look what we have, But it's time for us to come together as God's children, because it's very, very important. We're dealing with nuclear situations where, we have energy that could cause a problem where it could destroy the whole planet, and that's something that I worry about, but not to the point where it hurts me. It's just something that I'm looking for a solution. There are extraterrestrials, they come into our airspace every time we have a nuclear disaster, because they're letting us know that there's a problem. Get it together, cousins.
Now, you, in your book, you have, talking about heaven, you also have that in a meditative prose. Do you feel that we have to die to go to heaven?
No, we don't have to die to go to heaven. There are different levels of heaven. A heavenly environment is an environment where you can feel free and you don't have to lock your door. You don't have to worry about someone stealing from you. It's like the days when we were young, you could go and borrow somebody's salt or some sugar if you ran out. Now you can't even go to a neighbor's house because you're afraid you might get shot. Neighbors don't see each other like they used to, because you have a garage you just drive into, and it's not like it used to be.
Now, I want to go back to your job at Champion Spark Plug.
Okay.
Weren't they the spark for you to do the book?
Well, yes, they were, because I wanted to do the book, actually a picture of my growing up in Hamtramck.
Right.
And I had made the proposition to them, and they had invested millions of dollars in racing, and I thought they were looking for a black venture to invest in, and I thought doing this picture would be great because it'd be something to bring us all together. But it's a long story, and I explain everything in the book, and I don't want to really
But you
get
did
caught
end
up
up feeling
that.
like they were holding you back.
Well, yes, because they falsified some tests that I had taken,
okay.
and they said that I failed by 1%, and I found out that I passed. It's in the book, But the book is necessary because in order to have a heaven on earth, you have to have a blueprint, and the blueprint is in this book right here. And if all I do is get people, the majority of people, to support it, it can happen. It's going to happen, whether I do it or someone else. But I want to see it while I'm here and while you're here.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to get out there, as we both are, and try to do our bit to make the world a better place.
Yes.
My thought is making it a better place. Your thought is making it heaven on earth.
Oh, yes. Because I want it to be where we just rely on each other, we help each other, and there's no real need that we can't supply. That's what a heaven is all about, helping each other. You know, isn't that what Jesus came here for, to bring the people together?
Yes.
Didn't the Bible say that it will be done on earth as it is in the heavens? Heavens? You know, earth is in the heavens, but heaven ain't on earth because we haven't made it that way yet. We got the manpower.
Now, do you really think that we're supposed to have heaven on earth?
Yes. Why would God
I mean, I know
create
that we
us?
have heavenly times,
Yes, we do.
but this is earth, and earth can't be heaven.
Well, and
that's the general way of thinking, but that's not your way of thinking.
Not my way of thinking. I'd say there is another heaven that when we leave here, we got to go where our parents went.
Okay.
If your parents left, you know, that's something that we know we have to deal with. No one really knows what it is, but we know it is going to happen.
So I really appreciate your way of thinking in a lot of situations in the book. There are some that kind of a little deep for me because you are definitely a deep thinker, but I really appreciate your mission and your motivation and your ability to put a book together. I mean, I wrote a couple of books
Yes.
too, and I know that you have to sit and focus and think and try to put it in a way that other people understand what you're trying to say.
Yes.
So, God's child. We are all God's child. That's your message from the book?
Yes, that's the main theme. We're all God's children.
Yes.
That title is everybody's title, no matter where you're at. I would like to sing one more song that it's a message and it pertains to my life, Amazing Grace.
Okay.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear. Through grace my fears relieve. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me on. When we've been here 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Such a powerful message.
Yes.
In your book, in your singing. Another question that I wanted to ask you about before we run out of time is you're referring to God as she, and I love your reason for that. So could you share with the audience?
Well, I just feel that women are very powerful, and they've been held down since the day we've been on this planet. They've always been like put to the side. And even in our religious institutions, there were a time where women couldn't even go up on the pulpit, but change is a-coming, you know. So it's up to us to really get it together and bring on these changes and give women the opportunity, because, you know, women are the majority of students in the colleges today. I think it's 60 to 40, you know, and diversity. We need diversity. Men don't know about women's body as much as a woman know about her body. And I say God is a woman in a facetious way, but God is a spirit. But that spirit is very strong in women, because women bear life, bring it to the world, and it just gets them closer to God. I know there are a lot of men that have a lot of love, but it's the women overall, you know, that's the reason why I say God, she, but it's God, the spirit, in all of us.
I appreciate that. As a woman, I really appreciate you giving us that honor and that recognition. And if more men felt that way, maybe we'd have less domestic
Absolutely.
turmoil and violence and all.
Absolutely. I mean, you respect a woman like you respect your mother. Didn't you respect your mother? All women are your sisters. And when you find a good woman, you marry her, she should be closer than the sister. That's your wife.
I wanted to talk a little bit about aging, which is something we are both doing. I wanted to share Psalm 92:14 with you. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will remain fresh and green. That's one of my guiding principle scriptures. And I'm determined to still bear fruit in old age, as are you. And I'm older than you, so I'm not putting you in the old age category. But if you look at our age if you look it up, we're both in the senior category. So we are bearing fruit in old age. And I think that we are supposed to, that if you get a certain age and you still have your faculties, you're supposed to put something back into the universe.
Yes.
So I thank you so much for God's child. I thank you so much for putting positive energy into the universe. I thank you so much for watching A Spoonful of Comfort. And I hope that you will tune in every Tuesday at 1:30 on WHPR. TV 33. We're located at 160 Victor in Highland Park in beautiful studios here. And I'm so glad that R.J. Watkins and Henry Tyler has put a platform for those of us in the community that have something that we want to express, that we are able to do that. So please tune in next Tuesday at 1:30 for A Spoonful of Comfort. And thank you so much for being my guest today.
When I was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known. I was sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed, just for